Making a perfect Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list that pleases every single player is basically an impossible task. Konami knows this, but they do try their best with each ban list. Sometimes, though, they're not as good as other times. And I'll say that this October 1st, 2021 ban list, which was revealed yesterday at the time of filming this video, this was a pretty big miss. I think most of the community is not happy with what Konami did. Now, some people saw my reaction video and thought that I was someone that hated this ban list. I don't think it's terrible, but it's definitely one of their worst lists in a while. I think the last time I remember people freaking out about a list this much was probably back with that first list after events got canceled, when all they did was bring back Necros of Unicorn, Ritual Beast Canahawk, and Altergeist Multifaker. That ban list had people pretty pissed, but we really haven't seen that again until now. I actually ran this poll yesterday. I'm sure some of you guys voted on this, but it said, how do you feel about the October 2021 Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list? Mostly positive, only got 9% of the votes, neutral got 53% of the votes, and mostly negative got 38% of the votes. And I think these scores are pretty telling when compared to other ban list polls I've done. So they're not all exactly the same, but here's the one from 2 months ago. So this was in July of 2021. 23% of people said it's great, 64% said it's mostly okay, which is kind of like the neutral selection, and only 13% outright said it's bad. Now, I think my most recent poll is a bit different with those entries, but you can just kind of see there that we have 38 saying the list was mostly negative versus only 13% saying it's bad. Compare this to 6 months prior, and once again here, not quite the exact same poll here, but this one says either I like it or I don't like it, and only 23% of people said they didn't like it. Now, this one didn't have a neutral rating, which kind of sucked, but I think it really does go to show that people are very clearly not happy with the October 2021 ban list. Now, as some of the top comments on my live reaction video said, and also I believe one of these top comments, yeah, this one right here says, Konami didn't do a lot of hits, but this was a format that a lot of players said they enjoyed playing. I've even said in multiple videos that I've really enjoyed playing at locals this format. I've been going to a lot of local tournaments with rogue decks like Bee Troopers and Altergeist, and I really think this format is pretty balanced. But there are some problematic cards that I was hoping Konami would address on the ban list, and they really didn't do that much. Now, as I said in my ban list reaction video, it's kind of a difficult ban list for Konami to do here because this ban list goes into effect on the same day that the Megatins are released everywhere, and that makes it a bit challenging because you don't want to hit cards that are just about to get reprints in the Megatins. Now, in the past, a lot of the time we don't have a Megatin and a ban list dropping on the same day. Usually we get those Megatins and then a few months later we get a ban list, and at that point Konami feels more comfortable hitting those cards that just got reprinted because then budget players at least had a few months to play with them. Now though, because they're releasing the Megatin and the ban list on the exact same day, you can't really do that. They were never going to hit the big Megatin cards because then people wouldn't want to buy the Megatins, and historically speaking, the Megatins have been one of the biggest products out of the entire year. So they want to keep those hype levels up, but they also want to release a ban list. Now, if you go back to my video talking about how this ban list might have challenges that I released before the ban list was announced, I talked about that maybe they didn't need to release a ban list on October 1st. I know people really like ban lists and they don't like waiting around for them, but I really felt like they could have waited until after Burst of Destiny to release the ban list. Yeah, that would be a month or two of waiting, but I think it would have been better overall for the community because we probably wouldn't have gotten this super tiny ban list. We would have gotten a ban list that hit a lot more cards. This ban list only had 8 changes, and only 4 of those were actual hits to top decks, and I think people are kind of tilted about that a little bit because Tri-Brigade took the most hits, 2, which is okay, I guess, because they are the most popular deck, but the hits were kind of weird. Zodiac Barrage being the only card banned on this list was very strange because it's an unsearchable one-of. It's not really the problem, it's just a card that helps summon Zeus, but there are other issues with Tri-Brigades that that probably should have been addressed, but maybe didn't get addressed because of the timing of this ban list with the Megatons. Now, obviously, all ban lists are made to help sales. That's not really a secret. Konami is a business. They need to make money, but you can do that in multiple ways. They could bring back cards that are about to get reprints. They could hit cards that maybe don't have reprints on the horizon, but also I feel like one thing people kind of forget about is that one of the ways Konami can boost sales is by making the format a better format. That sounds weird, right? It's not directly tied to any product releases, but I'm just saying that if the game is more fun to play, people are usually more willing to spend money on it. And in the past, we've seen a number of ban list changes that don't have anything to do with product releases, but just make the format better than it was in the previous months. So keep that in mind if you're looking at a ban list and trying to decide if it's good or bad. It's not always about promoting certain product releases. Sometimes it can just be about making the format better so people are more willing to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But this ban list really felt like it only did one of those two things. It felt like they only hit cards that weren't getting reprinted in the Megatons to promote the sale of the Megaton. And that's fine, but I would have liked to also see some changes that really have nothing to do with the Megatons at all. Yeah, we have these few semi-limit changes, which are fine, but realistically, there are so many other cards in the limited section that probably could go to 2 or 3, and they didn't bring any of those ones back. There's even a number of banned cards that probably could come off the list. Now, I'm not going to be MBT and say 60 of them could come off the list and not cause an issue, but there are a number of banned cards that don't really need to be banned anymore. So I don't know why Konami, with this list that was always going to be pretty light on the hits, I don't know why they didn't unban a bunch of cards. That would have been a way to spice things up. Yes, Konami doesn't want to hit cards that are about to get reprinted in the Megatons, but what if you brought back a bunch of old cards that would at least give people new decks to experiment with? This ban list barely changes the format. This morning, actually, I ran a poll that was like, which of these two things do you think will affect the format more? Now, I did have a typo in there, and unfortunately, YouTube doesn't allow you to change any of the text on a poll that's already posted, so I had to take it down. But the two options were either the release of the ban list or the release of Crossout Designator. Those two things happen on the exact same day, but I wanted people to sort of answer which one of them they thought would affect the format more. And I think when I closed the poll, it was like 96% voted for Crossout Designator. One single card will affect the format more than the entire ban list, and that's kind of the problem. And I think people are right, by the way. This ban list doesn't really change that much. Before the ban list, the top 4 decks I think most people can agree were Tri-Brigade, Drytron, Prank Kid, and Virtual Worlds, with a bunch of rogue decks following behind. And what are the new best decks after this new ban list? Well, you have Tri-Brigade, Drytron, Prank Kids, and Virtual World with a bunch of rogue decks following behind. So the format really won't shift because of the ban list. It'll take a card like Crossout Designator to really shake things up. Personally, I don't super care that they weren't willing to hit a bunch of cards. It seems like some people that watched my ban list reaction video really thought I wanted every single top deck to get murdered, but it's not really about that though. You can make the format change without hitting a bunch of cards. One way to do that is by bringing back a bunch of cards that don't need to be on the ban list. Maybe the majority of cards that they would bring back wouldn't change the format that much, but only takes a couple older cards coming back to really change things up. And that's what I would have liked to see out of this ban list if they didn't want a lot of hits. So that's kind of my thoughts on this ban list. That's why people are so angry at Konami over this. To some people, it's about the fact that Konami didn't hit a lot of cards, but to other people like myself, it's more about the fact that they didn't bring back a bunch of older cards that don't need to be on the ban list anymore. I don't think the ban list is horrible. I don't think the format is ruined, but I feel like this ban list was pretty boring. But let me know in the comment section what you think about the October 1st ban list. Are you excited for the changes, or do you not really care? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Goodbye.